holiday forgiveness. And we just ask that you would bless us with rain, O Lord, in this area and all over Texas. And Lord, we thank you for our hospital and nursing home and for this hospital district. And we pray that you give us wisdom, guide us, show us the right way, and help us in all that we do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right, everyone's had an opportunity to read the minutes of the previous meeting. Are there any additions or corrections?
I make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Present.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay. We'll have, at this time, we'll have an open forum. And did everybody sign the sign-in sheet? Okay. Is there anything anyone like to say in open forum? Okay. Well, maybe we'll just wait and put that on your administrative report, okay? All right. Going once, going twice. Okay, we'll close that time. All right. Election judges. Please tell us what we're doing.
Okay, for the general election that's going to be held May 14th, the board needs to appoint election judges, and it would be my recommendation, upon the pleasure of the board, that you appoint Deborah Noble as the election judge and Bob Graves as the alternate judge. And then there will also be another clerk that will be chosen by the election judge to officiate over the election on May 14th. I'd also at this time let you know that early voting starts on Monday, May 2nd, and continues through Tuesday, May 10th. And we'll have two 12-hour days, which will be on Tuesday, May the 3rd, and also on Tuesday, May the 10th, from 7 to 7. We'll have extended hours. So we would encourage all the voters in place 2 and place 4 to come out and vote. Vote early or on election day, May 14th. But at this time, I just ask, if it be your pleasure, that you appoint those two people as election judge and alternate judge.
Okay. We need a motion to appoint Deborah Noble and Bob Graves as election judges coming election.
I'll make a motion with Deborah and Bob for the election. I'll second the motion.
Motion made and second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Can I get signatures from you at this time? Would be okay? And we actually have 3 copies, I'll send one to each of them, and then one will go in the election file.
Oh, come on,
They're
we
all
get to do this?
They're all here, gets to do this.
There is a 15-year level penalty.
This is the federal penitentiary, not state.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
All right, moving right along to item number 5, regarding access care dialysis. We had a meeting a while ago with John and Megan and David and I met with him, and he has proposed a new agreement, which I gave you a copy over there, and it is to, one is to eliminate subsection II from section 1I relating to the 10% of the net income. Second proposal is to keep the rent at $1,500 a month and the utilities as charged, and that would begin on May 1st. Third item was to waive the rent previously accrued, approximately $20,000. And of course, I mean, the item is effective by. And there was an item in the existing contract that is to be revised if we approve these things. And there's an item in there about any disagreement, then we go to arbitration in Lubbock, as pointed by a judge down there. So what we're down to is John Christie paid him $1,500 a month. Therefore, until the contract expired, which we had to terminate the contract in May of 2015. And he's asked us to waive the previously approved rent that had not been paid. Primarily because the improvements he had to make to the building, plumbing, wiring, etc. Firewall, I had to put in. So this is his proposal. And is there any questions or discussion of that?
What makes him think he can pay $1,500 now?
He can pay the $1,500, he says, and he says he will. And I said before, John, would you like to answer that? This is John Hedrick.
The payment of the rent has never been a dispute until the notice of that the contract could not be extended. Our position all along has been, we wouldn't have entered into this agreement if we'd known that we were going to be out of there in 5 years. You know, we have spent a lot of money on this facility, of which we're going to lose at the end of this lease. And again, you know, very bluntly, if we would have known, if you would have sent it to your council and they would have told us that you cannot enter into this lease past the original term, we would have taken the $300,000 plus that we spent. Now that's not including equipment. We would have taken it and built a modular building in Muleshoe. The one thing I want to make sure of is, after reading the newspaper the last time, everybody know we're not going to close that facility down. And it's marginally breaking even. But, you know, to say, are we going to pay it? You know what, I'd be happy to pay the back rent if you'd pay for my building tenant, my building improvements of $300,000. So I think I'm making a fair proposal. You know, I'm going to lose, no other way to say it, I'm going to lose $300,000 in tenant costs that I can't use. In an exchange, I don't think it's unreasonable for y'all to waive $20,000 worth of the past due rent. Other than that, keeping the exact agreement in place, I think one suggestion that I'm looking at it that I would make is that we specifically state when the lease is going to end, which as of today was February 28th, 2015. And I think that needs to be in the First Amendment. But, you know, to say, am I happy? No, I'm not. But I think the proposal I made is probably the most honest and fair proposal that could be made.
What we have to consider is this is the second time that John's asked us to write off past debt. First time was, I think the lease was initiated in February. You remember there was considerable problems in getting the place open, and we went several months in which there was nobody there. I mean, it wasn't even open yet then. So we did write off some of that. And now this time, this is John's proposal, because we did terminate the lease and shorten his term that he would be out there. And it is a lot of money. Now, the reason my understanding, I wasn't on the board at the time, you were on the board at the time and did this, my understanding was that we entered into this agreement, this lease, in order to provide dialysis for the community, and with the hope that it would expand our census out there. And Megan, you told us a while ago you have 3 with the possibility of another.
Yes.
You know, and we know that, I know of at least one person that works for the city that is using that dialysis, and it is, or did he get the transplant? He got the transplant, didn't he?
Yes.
So But he did use it there for quite a while. I think he was the first patient in it. It has been beneficial to the city, and whether it will continue to increase our census, nobody knows. But it is an option, and it is something that we can still use to try to increase it. And so if we don't do this, and we go to court, sue John for the money, he can move out, we can close it down, then will it be any benefit to the community or to the nursing home? And I hate losing money, hate writing off. So it's a decision we have to make.
Can I respond real quick?
Yes, you
Let me
may.
assure you, if will be legal action brought as a result of this, we will be bringing it as well. Our damages are significantly higher than the $20,000 lease. And we can't afford to walk away from that. I don't want to go to court. I don't want it to be litigated. I want to continue to provide service for this town like we have done and like we're doing. But quite frankly, I don't think that we were treated right. And I'm asking for something I think is very reasonable. I hope that you will do it because I'd like to bury it, get it behind us, and go forward.
Well, we have our community to consider, and we don't want to do anything to hinder or hurt the people in our community who is using the facility, and we certainly could use the $20,000, but we certainly couldn't afford a lawsuit and lose, so I make a motion we accept his agreement.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor say aye. Motion carried.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, John.
You'll write this up?
I sure will.
And
And we'll get it reviewed this time. We'll make sure that y'all send it to your council. And this is the last time that this is buried as far as I'm concerned. It's behind us.
I hope.
Well,
And we will not be shutting the unit down. Make sure the newspaper repeats that accurately.
health and well-being of people depend on that for more than $20,000, so I think we make
It saved people's lives.
Yep.
And I think nobody complains about the service. Well, thank y'all very much. If it's okay, I will go back.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John. And I'll get that to you tomorrow.
Next item is approved banking resolution.
We got a change and signing of checks. Susan is doing full-time surgery now. Cody Kitchens is the DON, and Susan had the authority to sign checks, and we're just going to put Cody's name on the second check signing.
What would you have a deal with? What would you have a deal with?
There are 3 key positions in a hospital setting, and the DON happens to be one of those.
So, but we don't have a comptroller right now.
We do have a comptroller.
Oh, we do have a comptroller.
This is Vicki, and I was waiting to announce that one. Vicki Groveman, Chris departed, well, he got another job, I don't know if
Yeah,
he killed
that
him.
doesn't sound right.
Chris got another job, and Vicki is actually a local person with a degree in accounting, and 27 years of experience in business, and not hospital business, but accounting. And so she agreed to come aboard, so she is the comptroller. But at this time, the DON is always, Margaret was on it, all the DONs, and that's just the process. We put all
And so what do we need a motion for?
to amend the resolution to include the names that are, I guess, in front of them.
It's just changed, it's in their full packet, it's just not they will have original that you all sign on it.
You're actually removing Susan's name and adding Cody's name, is what you're actually doing.
Okay. So,
I'll make a motion that we accept the banking resolution as it stated in the packet. Add Cody Kitchens as a signature.
Second motion.
motion made and second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carried. All right. Joe, next item is approved purchase of ultrasound equipment.
You can pull up Carrie Joe's gonna stand and let me introduce this on a financial basis, and then Joe can speak to the machine. Most of our equipment, if not all of our equipment, is on a lease basis, so that this happened to be a machine that's being replaced. We've had it for 60 months. It's and so we have the option of either buying the machine straight out or leasing another one for another 5 years. And so what we're looking at is getting rid of the old machine we've had for the past 60 months and getting a new machine for the next 60 months. And actually, we paid $114,000 for the last one, and this one's going to cost us $96,000. But at any rate, it will be a new machine, the ultrasound machine, and so we're asking for your approval to go into this lease for the next 60 months for this new machine. And that's the basis of the financial aspect of it. Actually going to cost us a little less each month than the present. But Joe can actually speak to the machine itself.
Okay.
The first page on this, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, the first page on this items that I presented to y'all is the last service that they did on the ultrasound, and it's dated on there. We did quite a bit of work on it. We've had this machine for 5 years. I feel like by having the newer one, we probably would avoid a lot of, because the travel on the second section, that's stapled, here, is the actual price of the service contract that they're offering us at this moment. It also represents everything as far as the legality, as far as the coverage, how it's done and such. On the service contract, they come and provide the equipment and such, the parts that is needed. It's the traveling part that they end up adding on to the service charge when they come and do the job. But this is the new contract as far as the quote for the new service. The third section is actual buying the machine itself or leasing it should up there. Second page will give us an idea of what the price is going to be. And the final section is the actual financial proposal.
Hurry up, long lady. Call Tom, get there to the I'm sorry, Joe.
It's all right, we got it. We get the last section is a financial proposal as to how it would be paid for as far as the equipment. We are, ultrasound, I've got some numbers. Last year we had a total of 207 exams. There towards the end, when Brenda actually left our department, we stopped doing pelvic ultrasounds, some of the more difficult ones. Our staff wasn't prepared for more difficult exams. So since then, though, we have hired Betty Warner. She's our ultrasound tech. She is very good. She's at the point where she's almost ready to take her registry and become a registered ultrasound tech. If we can, registration is very important in a lot of areas. In Texas, it's not required yet. New Mexico and some of the other surrounding states are asking to start getting the registered ultrasound tech in order for Medicare to start continue paying. So it's getting to that point a lot in our X-ray departments, in a lot of the X-ray departments. As far as exams, Betty's even able to do OBs. A lot of the doctors here don't do OBs anymore. or unless it's an emergency situation, but she is able to do them. It should be, if she should, Dr. Miss Bullock out of Regency's office, she does still handle OBs, but she sends most of her work to Lubbock. We are able to do a few exams for her every so often. We do them, just kind of so she can see how the baby's doing and such. But mostly everything newborn and born either Clovis or in Lubbock, and the doctors there take care of it. But she is able to do them. She does all the abdomens, renals, gallbladders, livers, pancreas, spleens. She's able to do pelvics. She's even able to do breast ultrasound. We really don't. I'm not sure if Medicare, if anything, if we ever got breast ultrasounds going, if she would be able to do that. If she'd be able to do them, but I don't know if we'd be able to charge for them as far as that. Thyroids, testiculars, anything like that, she's able to do. Just about everything that's available as far as just regular general ultrasound, she's able to do. This year so far, up to March, or April should I say, we have had 62 exams. I'm trying to remember, she came on board with us, I believe it was in February. So before then, nothing was really, yes, I believe it was February, the 1st of February when she came on board in our department. And before then, again, the only thing that was being done was simple gallbladders. And I say simple because it's the easiest thing, kind of the easiest things to do. But otherwise, we could utilize this ultrasound machine either way. It's just a matter of, service contract.
You have a payment schedule back here on page, right there, first page 2 of 5. You plan on paying for monthly, quarterly, or annually? Monthly, and all right, so monthly at that price there, Joe, $881 a month. Do you make enough out of the same paper? You use enough tape, like that kind of paper?
I feel like you could. We've, as far as what I'm looking at, we are just about even with 207 exams. I did bring a price list with me. Most ultrasound that we end up doing, let's say for an ultrasound of the abdomen, we charge per organ. It's the way it's to be done. It's the way it's done. Pancreas, liver, gallbladder, spleen, kidneys.
Different, right?
Yes, sir.
Different.
Everything is different. They're all in different parts of our body, so it just kind of focuses on that one area that the doctor asks us to. Sometimes they might ask for a pancreas and a liver, and we do both of them at the same time. But for each exam, as far as per organ, so to speak, $294 is the price. I didn't get the numbers, didn't add them up or anything like that as far as what we did last year. With 207 exams, I would say that's, I think it would cover that. And this month already itself was just this year, 62 exams. I feel like we're about even with last year's averaging out. And if we get the word out, maybe Ms. Bullock will start sending more OBs out. Brenda, that home back when she was doing it, she really didn't like doing a whole lot. So it was just kind of like on the emergency situation. But I'm thinking if we can give Ms. Bullock, maybe we get some of these, some of the ladies in and keep some extra exams going here also, adding it up to it. I've been kind of like, I've been wanting to go speak with all the clinics. They don't know what all we can do now, especially the CAT machine and such. I was just kind of waiting for our health line to come in and get us all together, and that way, we can tell them what we're doing and what's going on.
We won't have the same problems with this as we are with health plans, will we?
No. Actually, my department, I think we're doing pretty good as far as the health plan.
So this is a newer machine?
It's the it's the same type of machine. I called Phillips and I requested that we do the same type of machine. Betty is very familiar with it, and she had no problems just jumping in there and getting the exam. It's the same machine, same thing, it's just neat, instead of, you know, and again, the older, just like everything else, once it starts getting certain time, certain age, you still need things, more maintenance, and possibly the drive and such, stuff is probably add up on it,
Okay. Any other questions? Need a motion to approve the lease to the new ultrasound machine?
I'll make a motion for the list of the ultrasound.
Motion made and second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Thank you, Joe.
but thank y'all very much.
Can't believe they charge for different organs. Why is it, huh? Really?
You don't work with conflict.
No, I don't know that.
Finger across your, you know, the arm, depending on what you're all right.
Okay.
Again, thank y'all very much.
Thank you, Joe. All right, we're to the bylaw review committee. I'm supposed to make written changes to the bylaw.
Can we would like to table this because we really have not had an opportunity to sit down and get this done.
Motion made to table it till next meeting.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made and second, all in favor say aye.
Or maybe,
Okay,
this is a busy month too.
she's thinking until we're ready, we have all.
Oh, until you're ready, okay.
Not next
Well,
month.
let's take that, let's take this next meeting out.
Yeah.
Okay, motion table.
Until we're ready.
Okay, all right, motion made and seconded, all in favor say aye. Motion carried, all right. Financial and staff reports. Oh, yeah. What are we paying her
Just to sit there and look nice. She will eventually do it, but I'm gonna cover it tonight. And this is her first meeting, and I was waiting for this moment to introduce her. Because she is taking that position over, and she came in at the perfect time with Healthland being like it is. She's running it.
Good job.
To start off, go ahead and turn to page 13. We're going to talk a little bit about the cash. I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but I'll just point out some things and kind of bring you up to speed where we are right now. And Healthland is going to be a big part of this. At the beginning of April and March, together we had $731,000 in cash in the bank, and the hospital was $479,000 and the nursing home was $252,000. Now, the nursing home is going to be pretty steady. That's going to stay, around that same amount. Next month, you're going to see the hospital drop off because of the health plan. We have not been able to bill on our health plan system since March the 9th. So we have not gotten the bills out. What you're going to see is an increase in the AR go up, bills. I know we're trying to get that settled, but our cash is running. It's probably about $350 right now rather than $470. Now that may come up a little bit, but we only have 1 day with us on. Now that will remedy itself in the future when Healthline gets everything going out. We've had some problems with clinic billing as well as a hospital billing, and this affects the nursing, the lab, X-ray department. It actually affects all the departments, but they are and we are working together to get the budgets out. So you're aware of that. We're not hurting in any form or fashion, but our cash may be running a little low right now, and we're trying to stretch that out and help things along. So, looking at that, you can see our accounts receivable is pretty steady at the hospital, and increased a little bit, but went down a little bit in your accounts receivable, and the nursing home went down to $91,000. Your accounts payable, there is and this, you have to get used to looking at things. On page 15, the accounts payable, what you're seeing here, it looks a little different. That's your balance sheet for the whole district. It's not just the hospital nor the nursing home. And if you go down to accounts payable, which is about midway down, right under liabilities, current liabilities, accounts payable, that 776 is what our accounts payable is at the present time. For the last year, it was 1,115,000. So you can see that we are improving on that. Now, that being said, that 776 is what you're going to see on page 13, but really, that is not just the hospitals, that's the whole district. So it was just picked up from the wrong page, that's all. I want to point that out because if you turn to page 18, you're going to see what the hospitals is. It's going to be in the same location, about midway down, accounts payable. The hospital was at 685,000, and at last year at this same time it was 909,000. So you can see we're coming down slowly and moving a lot slower than the nursing home. Nursing homes really improved a lot over the last 12 months because they've got that millage straightened out. So it's really, and we're working on it here too. Part of our reason for being so high was the things that we were lower that we went through with the different entities. And we're have resolved and are resolving those as we speak. So I think we're going to be able to bring that down some more. That's the account payable. Now, account payable also on the nursing home, just to call it to your attention, because we're in a transition, we're checking and double checking things that moved over from one system to the other. Last month, there was an error made in what came over from the nursing home. So even though you can see our accounts payable was 48, now it's 90, they didn't actually go out and spend that extra money. There was just an error last month. So we caught that and we've corrected it. So 90 is the correct figure. We didn't see that last month and that was good, but there was something we just needed to correct. And we may see a little bit more of that, not just on the nursing home side, but all the way around. Because in a conversion, there's never anything that goes perfect. We just didn't expect it to be quite as bad as it is. It's been pretty bad. If you see Lynn Ann, you may not recognize her. She's like she doesn't have it here at this point in time. She's really worked hard, as Leslie has too. Every single department has worked hard to get this resolved. And we're going to get
David,
yes.
On page 18.
Page 18.
Down at the bottom, current year, leases payable, what is it? How come it's so weird? Is this health plan?
Health plan is in that, and of course I can't answer that without going into the system and saying that may be an error. I don't want to say that it's not. And I can't answer that. I can't answer that without going into the system.
The CT machine makes up a lot of that.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Chris. Good to see you back here.
It's gonna be your health plan and CT machine, that's when that jumped up to that, is when we got the CT
Combination.
machine.
But it does include the health plan deal.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Going on down, I want to call your attention to what the hospital has paid out this time. You're welcome to write it down, or you can turn to it on page 23 and 24. We have a combination because we did change systems. You have part of it from the APS system and part of it from the health plan system. The total amount the hospital paid in the check on page 23 and 24 is $478,000. That's what we actually spent in cash last month. To be exact, $478,736. That's what we paid out. Now on page 49 and 48, you're going to see the same thing for the nursing home. You're going to see two pay runs, and that's because there's two separate systems. And the total amount there is $157,111. That's what they paid out for the month of March. Some discussion has been had this week over different things. The notes payable at the bank, this came up, and I thought we were pretty close to it. In February 2012, which is, we'll have the banks paid off. So it's not that far off, and we need to keep it on the trigger. And that's both entities, as noted in the bottom. We're running just about on track as far as the revenue and expenses are for both entities. There's nothing that jumps out and tries to say, we better be careful. The only thing that I'm concerned with now, and it's not a critical concern, but it is something we want to pay attention to, is where's our cash at? Because even as today, we're not billing like we should. They're still working on it. And Dr. Purdy has also placed a phone call to health plan, so everybody is pushing on this, and we will do it correctly. And we may find some errors in the accounting system, but we look at that every day. We made some corrections today on some different things that we've talked with, some of the items not going to the right line item. And we're going to find those things as we go along, until we get locked in. And I'm going to kind of, if it's okay, I'm going to kind of go ahead and run into the administrative report at the same time. Health plan. We have to be up and running by government standards by July the 3rd. That's what our goal is. By doing that, we've met meaningful use, and we will be able then to start making application to receive a reimbursement from the government over a period of time. Now, if we don't make the July 3rd deadline, and there's always that possibility, you never say for sure on anything, it's not that we don't get it, it just will be delayed, and we may have to send them some more documentation. But our goal right now is to make it by July the 3rd. That's what we're shooting for, and that's why we spend the extra hours up here trying to figure out what went wrong and why. Because it's not just the fact that we call them up and say, hey, health plan's working. They actually have to have documentation to see that we are, in fact, running our pharmacy right, running our nursing staff right, the labs are working. It's the whole round. It's not just one fact that we bought the computer system. That's not correct. We're working extremely hard on a couple of reports that will bring us in money. We do it every year, but they just happen to be due at the present time. That's a disproportionate share from the government based upon what expenses we've had. And then also our cost report, which has to be in to the government by May 31st. This report is due tomorrow at 5, and we are ready to submit it. We have to hit the submit button. And a cost report, we're pulling it together and trying to, and I guess I should say Vicky's pulling it together and getting it.
Don't do it that way.
I'm asking a lot of questions.
Well, actually, let me give credit to Vicky for jumping in here and trying to get this accomplished. At the same time, she certainly asked me questions, but she also asked Sandra and Diane and several other people. Leland's always in there to help. So everybody's, jumping in there trying to get it resolved. It's not just a one-person show. So I like to give credit for credit due, and credit due to all the staff. And that's true for the health plan thing, too. It's not just the finance department. Every single department has been over backwards to get this accomplished. And I want to make sure everybody knows that this is not just a one-person deal. And they all have worked very, very hard to get this accomplished. And I want to thank them publicly right now for that. We have had some feedback on rural health clinic across the street. Before we, make any final decision on anything, it probably doesn't look all that positive. That's the truth of the matter. They did come down somewhat, but I still don't know if it's within our reach, and so we're kind of running a little bit out of time, and I don't want to overextend the hospital in any form or fashion, so we got to think twice before we just jump off. And we asked for the plans, we paid for the plans, we have the plans. They've come up with some numbers, but they still seem to be able to find out. Bill's been involved in that discussion this week. He may want to add something to it, or he may not want to at this point in time, but that's where we are right now. It's questionable whether we're going to be able to proceed as planned. It's not off the table. It's just that we may not be able to do it in the time frame that we would have liked to at this time.
That's true.
That,
Well, and of course, the problem with that is losing the grants that we have.
Right.
But we just can't jump off into something because there's some money sitting over here and jump over here and then get a big pile of debt for a little bit of money. And I talked to one of the local bankers about it, and they agree. and we'll talk to the other bank tomorrow. But right now, the cost that they're showing us, plus we still owe almost $100,000 for the property, would have to be included, plus we need another $100,000 to buy equipment and furniture and fixtures for this. We're just looking at a big amount of debt right now, and we were talking about, instead of doing our local bank thing, maybe waiting till we get our account, our audit that doesn't show any problems, that shows we're doing well, and then go to a bonding company and issue bonds to do that project. Now, the bad part is we give up the grant.
Yeah.
But it's like one of the bankers told me, he said, you know, they may tell you you're gonna get that grant, but said, you may not get it.
That's right. That may not.
Well, the way the government's working right now,
Yeah.
and with the pressure on to save money up there, so. And that's, well, the other bank wants to really jump in on this, and do us some big favors, which I don't look forward to. And that's just business. It looks like we're gonna have to postpone this for a while. But we have the plan, they're all paid for. When we get our financial situation
Better shape.
in better shape, well, I think we're in better shape right now. But we have to have this audit, next audit to say so.
Yeah.
Before we go anywhere with it, and I think when does our next audit come out, Dave?
Well, they will come out in the latter part of November, December, and then they will have to present it somewhere around February.
Yeah, so, at that point in time, I think we're gonna be in a position to do something, but between now and the end of the year, I just don't see how. And if somebody wants to come up with a better idea, well, we're certainly ready to look at those ideas. And at that time, you know, we'll be back, we can go back to our original plan, or the original plan back then, was to add on the clinic, plus do some upgrades at the hospital, which is much needed. And we couldn't do that locally, that's the second part.
You know, it's a hard pill to swallow when you think about losing something that you might have had, but we've accomplished a whole lot in the last 12 to 18 months. If you just stop and think about everything that we as an entity, we've seen the nursing home turn around, and it wasn't that long ago, within 18 months, where the nursing home was in so bad shape we didn't know which way to go. And it's turned around now. And we're thinking it's going to stay that way. And we're certainly hoping it's going to stay that way. At the same time, here at the hospital, in very few more steps, we're going to have all new equipment. I know sometimes as board members you might get lost in that, but our CT machine is brand new. All the equipment in the lab is going to be brand new when we finish with Healthland. They're getting a new ultrasound machine. We're getting new defibrillators. We have a ton of new computers, and we have a new roof. We've done a lot of stuff in the last 12 months, and it's cost a pretty penny. But we've been able to pay for most of it cash, not all of it. Some of it, the Healthline had to work with us because they feel assured they want that money from the government as we do, because that's what's going to pay them off. And so they're looking for that. And I still want everybody to stay very positive about the entity as a whole, because we're accomplishing a lot. We have a long ways to go, but we're getting there. Maybe baby steps, but we're getting there. And again, it's not off the table, but at this point in time, this board meeting tonight, I like to tell it like it is, and I like everybody to know it doesn't look that favorable as far as what we're looking at across the street at this point in time. Just go back. We have to face it. Anyway, that's all I have.
Another thing on that is, you know, we're looking at taking on some more debt over there, and at the same time, you know, we at some point in time, we've got to get over this wage freeze that we have, and we need to get to that
We
point.
got to get something on that, eventually.
Yes, I think that's real.
We, you know, we just have a lot of things to look forward to, and we're getting there. It's just taking baby steps, that's all. But we're going to get there. You know, I'm very positive about for the turnaround we've had in our financial condition and, all through the whole district. But, just with the cost of things and until we get this audit straightened out, we're just not in a position to jump across the street and do that thing. Or that. By then, we'll have the property paid for, have the audit cleaned up, we'll be in a better financial position. We'll get rid of this lane street and we'll be able to do some other things there. All right. Is there anything?
No, that's it for me.
Okay. Megan?
Alright, well, we are currently at a census of 48 at Parkview. We have 2 pending admissions. So we are working hard at building that census. I will direct, the board members did receive a letter from Reclaim Healthcare Solutions. That is, of course, the company that has come in and worked with us in the past on some of our financials and stuff. And Carrie is now working as a regional director of operations with a different company, but she is still trying to help and consult us as much as possible. And she drafted this letter to the board, just kind of explaining our survey as compared to surveys statewide. That really has eaten up most of what's going on at Parkview in the last month, to be honest with you. And Bill, is it okay if I address the camera to?
Sure.
Because really I don't have a whole lot to go over. I'm just going to address the camera to read the statement. As most of you know, we've recently had a survey performed by the state of Texas and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. There were 20 areas of criticisms. Some were severe, some were minor. We have corrected some already, and we have plans for corrections for the others, most of which include continued training for our staff. I'll be happy to review each criticism and each plan of correction in detail at Parkview Monday night. I invite everyone to Parkview at 6 p.m. Monday to review each item line by line and hear our response and plan of correction. We'll be happy to have your suggestions. We'll meet in the activity day room at Parkview. If there's not enough space, we can go to the back patio and you'll see just why our facility is named Parkview. We make no excuses. Since I've been there at Parkview for nearly 1 year, our emphasis has been to overcome our terrible financial crisis at Parkview. We appear to have been successful. But to achieve this goal, we have to work with minimal staff. When we can build our census, we should have more income to hire more staff, which will help us to provide an even higher level of care for our residents. You will understand better as we go through this report on Monday. We may be fined $5,000 for 2 of the criticisms that we received. Only $5,000 each, not $5,000 per day for 15 days as was reported in the local newspaper. As I said, we're taking action to correct all of the alleged deficiencies. I guarantee you that Parkview will be a better facility after this. Be assured your loved ones are our loved ones.
Okay, why don't you point out some things that Reclaim pointed out in their survey?
Okay.
Do you have that?
Yes, sir, I do.
Get some of the highlights of that.
She just briefly reviews the total of the deficiencies. One thing that she does review here is she acknowledges the fact that this was a federal survey. Parkview has not undergone a federal survey before. It is different from a typical state survey. Generally in the state of Texas, facilities that undergo federal surveys receive 30 to 35 deficiencies. That being said, we did receive 19 and then 1 life safety deficiency. And so on the range of things, as she says here, that's really considered to be excellent. In regards to the IJs, most facilities that undergo federal surveys receive 7 to 9. I believe overall there was just 2 instances, but because of the actual instance and then lack of policy and procedure thereafter, I believe we ended up with 5. It's certainly not, and she says here, it's certainly not that we're making excuses that nothing needs to be changed. It's just saying you really have to look at this survey in perspective of what it really was. In fact, she had a facility in the Dallas area that had received 5 deficiency-free surveys that were not cited, that the state performed, and then they had a federal survey and received 42 tags, 9 of those being immediate jeopardy situations. So as she says here, you know, all things considered, it wasn't on the scope of things statewide when the feds are coming in and doing these surveys. It wasn't as bad as many other facilities are seeing. Again, that is in no effort to make an excuse. We are working to correct these issues as promptly as possible.
Thank you. We're gonna, she said, we're gonna have a meeting Monday night at Parkview, and we're gonna go through that report, and we wanna answer anybody's questions. We'll go through them minutely if we need to, every item. And I read the whole 90-something pages of that thing. I've read every page of it. And we're not making excuses, but things are not near as bad as we're talking about. So we'll go over that Monday night. Hope everybody can be there, and we're going to show people that we're going to take this in a positive attitude, that the criticisms were there. There's no doubt about it. Some of them weren't as bad as others, but we're going to correct them, and we're going to be a much better facility when we get through with this plan of correction and the steps that will be taken. So, I'm not concerned about that at all. I think we're going to be a better place, and I look forward to Monday meeting if anybody wants to come Monday night. Right. What else we have? Okay, we need to design the executive session to go over the total quality management report. I need a motion to adjourn to executive session.
I'll make a motion to adjourn to executive session.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Let's go down there and look at that. We'll be right back. That's one. And I need a motion to approve the total quality management report.
Make a motion to approve the total quality management report.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion carries. Need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. We'll see you Monday night, 6 o'clock at Parkview.
Yeah, you're,
You just said it.
it's really just 7.